when we're talking about contracts, and I told you we have to have agreement. So agreement can also be called that mutual assent. Remember, contracts are always voluntary. You cannot force anybody into a contract. You have to agree to it. That's that mutual assent, that meeting of the minds. I know what I'm getting, you know what you're getting. If one of us doesn't, then we can't have a contract. That's what that agreement means. Consideration, yet again, something of value. It doesn't have to be cash. We could trade a house for a house, a car for a house, a boat for a car. Something of value has to be exchanged. Legal capacity, right? We have to be of sound mind and of legal age, right? At least 18, not a minor, and of sound mind to sign for it to be valid. And then it has to be for a legal act. We cannot have a contract that says, I'm going to give you crystal meth if you murder my wife. If you sign that, that would be a void contract because it is for something illegal. Contracts cannot be contracts if they have any illegalities in them. This list right here is under basic contract law. Folks, is every contract in the world a real estate contract? No. So if we get the question, if we're trying to figure out what's a valid contract, well, it has to have all these things. What if I was talking about a sales contract for real estate in North Carolina? What else would it have to be in order to be valid? How about in writing? Because we can have oral contracts in the world. That's legal. We could have an oral contract, but remember the statute of frauds in North Carolina states a sales contract for real property is not valid or at least enforceable in a court of law unless it is in writing. So you got to be very careful. Could I say to Brandy, hey, Brandy, I want to buy your house. I'm going to give you $300,000. Brandy and I are both 18, sane and sober, and that's a completely legal purpose. If I say that to Brandy and she agrees, we have a valid contract, but it would be what we call an unenforceable contract because it's not in writing. So when I don't show up to buy Brandy's house on the day of closing and she says, Seth, what the hell? And I said, well, sorry, Brandy, I changed my mind. There's nothing she can do about it because she's going to go to the courts and she's going to say, well, he never showed up. And they're going to say, well, show me the contract. She's going to say, well, it was an oral agreement. And they're going to say, sucks to suck. So when we're dealing with contracts, if it contains all the essential elements, it's said to be a valid contract. Void and voidable, a little bit different. The biggest examples of void, if it's lacking one of those essential elements. If you're missing one of those essential elements, right, you don't have mutual agreement, you don't have consideration, you don't have for a legal act, all of those would be considered void. It's like saying we have no contract at all. Throw it out. We can all agree that if I signed a contract with Brandy that said I was going to buy her house for $0 and it was in writing and everything, it lacks consideration. The courts are not going to make us uphold something where I did not get something of value. Now, if it's $1, they'll hear it out. But if it's 0, they'll throw it out. So void is lacking an essential element. Void would also be if you were declared mentally incompetent. Think Britney Spears when she was in her conservatorship prior to it ending. If you had signed a contract to buy Britney Spears's mansion, Britney Spears did not have legal capacity to sign on her home because she had been declared legally incompetent by the courts. So that would be a void contract. Void, throw it out. It's not enforceable at all. Now, when we say voidable, it means one party has the right to back out. So a minor signing a contract would be voidable. Think of Justin Bieber at 13. Homeboy had enough money to buy any house he wanted to, but he did not have the legal capacity to contract. But if I was selling my house and Justin Bieber came up to me at 13 years old and said, Seth, I want to buy your house for $1 million. I'm going to roll the dice, folks. I'm going to sign that son of a gun because can he back out? Yeah. But could he also go through with it? Yeah. So a minor would be voidable. Justin Bieber had the right to back out. I didn't because I knew what I was signing. Let me give you one more example of voidable. Drunk as a skunk, high as a kite. We do not automatically kill a contract because you are under the influence. If Cam and I are sitting in a bar one night and we agree that I'm going to buy Cam's house for $300,000 and we are 3 sheets to the wind, I sign a contract. The next morning, I'm like, yeah, Cam's like, you agreed to buy my house in the bar last night for $300,000. Can I just be like, yeah, of course I did, man. I know how to hold my liquor. Don't judge me, Cam. I knew what I did. Let's do the deal. We don't automatically kill it because is there a chance that you knew what you were doing? To the contrary, let me ask you folks. Any of you in here ever had one too many drinkies and you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh my God, what did I do last night? We say if you're under the influence, it's voidable. Because could you make some pretty poor decisions while you're drinking? Absolutely. Most people have. So from a contractual point of view, you could potentially back out of a contract if you're under the influence. Now, please don't think that this is an escape to get out. You think you're going to go to your 3-year gym membership and be like, no, I was drunk at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. when I signed that 2 years ago, I'd like to get out of it, right? It doesn't work that way. You bear the burden of proof that you were drunk. So the next morning, I look at that contract and I go to the courts and I say, Cam, we got to cancel this, dog. I drank $300 worth of liquor and I got the bartender as a witness saying that I couldn't even talk straight. You think I'm going to be able to get out of it? Absolutely. So voidable would be a minor or temporarily under the influence. One person has the right to back out. If one person was sober and one person was not, the drunk person has the right to potentially get out of it. The sober person does not. So that is valid, void, and voidable. Very similar with a deed, but understand that they are different, right? One is transferring ownership. So we could negate the transfer of ownership if it was void. A mentally incompetent person, think of Nana who has dementia, and you go to Nana's assisted living facility and you coerce Nana into signing over her home to you. That's going to be void. You don't own the home because Nana was not of sound mind at the time that she transferred it. Now be very careful because it depends on when. If Nana transfers property to you, presumably in sound mind, and then gets dementia later and is declared mentally incompetent by the courts, you probably own the property. It was declared mentally incompetent at the time that the transfer happened, would throw it out from the deed, right? You would not own it. Same thing with contracts. If you sign a contract while you're of your own facilities, right? You're there, then you go mentally incompetent, then timing matters.
If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend. For more real estate education content, please subscribe to the channel. From all of us at Seacoast Real Estate Academy, thank you for watching.